I can tell you a funny part at one time. We're bringing these cases of bully beef into this house, and the little Jap, he's only a short guy, and he finished up. He calls into the room. And he could only say a couple of words of English. He said, "Australians bastardos." And he got up on one of the boxes, because he was that short, stood on a box, and he grabbed hold of one of the guy's Aussie slouch hats. He put a tin of bully beef on the top of this box, and he put the hat on top of it. He says, showing us how we were thieving tin of bully beef. When you lift the hat up, the tin of bully beef was gone. They stole it underneath his nose. He couldn't, of course, he went put on a show about that, but because we all started to laugh, it made him feel really small. There's only 1 against 30 of us, and so he had to see the joke, how he was beaten right in front of him. Yeah. As I say, the mad doctor, because he was crazy. When we first went to Japan, we didn't have to work on Sundays. Then Sundays, you work Sundays as well. Then you got 1 Sunday off a month. And if he was in charge of that day, he'd rather be at work, a beggar. It was a torture to be because we were in a warehouse, 3-story warehouse, and he was so torturous towards you. He'd come up, I was on the 1st floor. He'd have us count in Japanese. Louder, more louder. You'd be shouting, and there was 3 sections on the floor, and you'd have each section counting loud. Then he'd race up the steps to the second one. You have them running on the spot. Faster. You could hear them run on the spot. And he'd duck down to try and catch you so you were still counting. It was torturous. And especially if he'd been drinking sake. I remember one day I was washing my clothes, and I heard this click, clock, click, clock, click. He was him. I didn't know it was him, because all he had on was his naked bone had a fundushi. Instead of underpants, they wear what I call a fundushi. And that's all he had on, this fundushi. And I didn't know it was the mad doctor. And of course he grabbed hold of me, swung me around, whacked me across the face because I didn't salute him. I didn't know because he was naked. So that was the sort of guy he was. And another time, in the winter time, you were never allowed to have a shower. And we had guys that were good at picking locks. They could pick the lock because the showers were locked up for the winter time. These guys would pick the lock and we'd go and have a shower. We're all down to the shower and it was freezing cold. You just dive in and to wash, because you've been working in a coal boat, you're covered in black dust, and in walks mad doctor. Whips off his sword, and he made you stay under that shower. There's freezing cold water coming down, and he'd make you turn around so he could whack you across the backside with his sword. He was torturous, yeah. Well, apparently he got hung after the war. I saw the records after the war, and he was one guy that did hang, yeah, from Kobe. The mad doctor, Miyataki, I think his name was, yeah. When we got to Japan, it was, we were hated by the civilians, and the kids going to school used to throw stones and spit and yell out, "Hurry-o, hurry-o," and put their hands up, rub it into it all. But as the war went on, and you could tell the war was changing to our side, they were getting us, they'd tell us where there was stuff to steal and get some for them. even the Japanese guards, they'd have us take it out because they never got searched by customs. Well, they got searched by customs, but we never. We got searched by the army. So they were very cunning. They got us to take it through customs. As soon as they're out of sight of the customs, they'd have to hand it over to them. But then you got back to the camp, even though you had stolen stuff on you, you got searched, you got bashed up, so it depends on what you had and the quantity you had. You got bashed up. They wouldn't stick up for you, but some of the Jap guards would, knowing that we'd do the same thing for them another time. So you got to know the Jap guards. They're all nicknamed. Horseface, Yagi, that's the Japanese word for goat. Chinless Wonder, Smiler, Gentleman Jim, Maxie, because he looked like Maxie Bear, the boxer. We had nicknames for them all. And this guy that I'd become very friendly with, I never ever knew him before. I was a prisoner of war. Jack Gilding from South Australia. And one of the first jobs I had in Japan was I had to go into a bin and shovel this black graphite dust out. And where I went in, it was only big enough for me to get in. Then I had to shovel this in. I could only stay in for so long. I had to wear a mask, and I had to be white paste over my face. And if you didn't have that paste on, as soon as the sun hit you and melted it, it'd burn your skin. And my eyesight being bad as it was making me I'm going to go blind. And I complained, but this chap was a mongrel of a chap. We called him Speedo. He made me, I had to go in. He was the boss, I had to go in. And this South Australian boy, Jack Gilding, he volunteered. No, he said, I'll go in. And we became very good friends, and we finished up, we convinced this Speedo you could make a shovel and pull it out. Nobody needed to go in there. Scoop it out. And he agreed, and that's what they did. So Jack and I became very good friends, and we still work on, we put on pushing these trolleys like they use in the mines. And we finished up, we thought, well, we're going to win this guy over. So we got him to say, I'm Johnny's son, and Jack Gilding was Jack Gilding, so he was Jackie's son, and he was Speedo's son. And to finish up, we got him to learn more English, and it's unbelievable how we won him over. Then you got the different diseases, beriberi, malaria, where the skin would come off your tongue, and your beriberi, your feet, or they used to call it happy feet. You couldn't sleep by night time, your feet would be aching that much. You'd have to get up and walk. You see all the guys walking around, and then you'd be dead tired, and you finish up, you'd be going to sleep in the daytime, and you wanted to sleep at night time. It was shocking. Yeah. Lots of times when you're working in Japan, you worked in the rain and snow, and your clothes got soaking wet. Some of the guys were too tired to change, and the killer over in Japan was pneumonia. So yeah, I did everything in my power to make sure that as soon as I got home, I changed the hot, warm clothes. I always have a change of clothes. As I say, some guys were too tired, and a lot of the guys, you could tell when being a prisoner of war for so long, they had enough. And if they got a sickness, you could tell that they didn't want to fight on anymore. this area where our Kobe, we called it Kobe House, and we thought they must have known a prison camp here. They missed us. That wasn't right though. Yeah, we were just about ready to go to work, and 7 o'clock in the morning, and the air raid sirens were going, and then you could hear the planes coming. And the sound got a lot closer. Then all of a sudden we heard the bombers coming down, and the 500-pound oil bomber hit our building. So it was a 3-story building with an attic up top. The attic was stacked with all the winter clothes, blankets, grey coats, and it stopped the bomb from coming right through on us. But we'd all gone down from the guys on the top floor, come down to the first floor. Our floor was packed, but we couldn't get out because 2 big steel doors padlocked on the outside, so we were locked in and we were ablaze. But the English, they were in a warehouse next to us. We were only separated by like a width of a car. Being 2 warehouses together, and they were lucky. The bomb blew a wall out. They were able to get out, and they made the Jap guard unlock us and let us out. Otherwise, I would never be here. And they marched us to work this morning, and when we got there, they left us standing, and you could see they were all congregating around the main office. I think it was called Sampaku, the shipbuilding people, and Stevedore and Company. And then we saw women start to cry, even some men crying. That's strange. And a while after that, they came and said, "Oh, no work today, we're going back to camp." They never said anything about the war being finished, just said, "There's no work today, we're going back to camp." Because we had to start march back to camp. By that time, there's these other working parties from along the wharf. They were marching back, and they called out, "What do you know?" And because some of the Japs had broken the news to some of the boys. The Japanese word for war was censor, and awari means finish. They say censor awari. I hope it's true, because we all knew that if there had been a landing in Japan, we wouldn't have got out. They wiped us all out because we'd been drilled to be ready at a minute's notice to be taken out onto the road. I knew that was going to be the end. And we got back to camp. This one, this Japanese, he'd never known to hit the guys, and he was sort of a bit, try and get you out of trouble. He said, "Censor awari, war finish." And he and a couple of his Japanese guards, they went away and they come back with cases of oranges and apples and dished them out with. So we knew then the war was over.